This is Xenoxis, and this is the build guide for the Poison build. Well, technically it's two builds into one, because so my idea at first was that I was gonna go with just two weapons basically. So basically you go in the shop section in the game, and you disable the other two weapon slots. So you only have the default weapon slots, which is only two weapons. And I tried to make it work with only Aegis and the Poison Flask. The thing is, the Poison Flask is not super bad, but the thing is, like, the majority of the damage will come from the poison, not from the Poison Flask itself. And the main problem is, if you get the wrong upgrades early on, like if you don't get like Projectile Count, if you don't get more of the projectile early on, then that can be like really bad. Like, sure, you can increase the damage, which quote unquote also increase the poison damage that you deal if you increase the damage on the Poison Flask and stuff that, right? But like getting Projectile Count used early on is very important. So I did like try a bunch of like tier 1 runs and stuff that to try to make the build work and stuff that. And there were of course certain items that I had like deactivated and stuff that, like I really thought about like what items should I have like active, because I didn't want to have to rely on like curse stalls and stuff that, right? You know, and stuff that, like, because curse stall is not a poison effect. It is a damage over time effect, but it's not a poison effect and stuff that, so I didn't want to have curse stalls. And I know that before when I talked about poison builds, yeah, having like curse stall together with poison is just so good. And I mean, like, my damage would probably have been way higher, and my amount of kills would probably have been way higher if I would have also gotten like a bunch of curse stalls. Now, sadly, I was one more disease away from getting the hat. I would have needed 8 more diseases when I got the tier 3 kill on the forest. And yes, I did manage to beat my old kill record. I think my old one, right, it wasn't even 20,000, I think. In terms of kills, I think it was only like 12,000 or something like that, which is absolutely insane. So yeah. So you can see here, I went with the Poison Flask. I went with the revolver. I went with the bone. The bone. And I went with the wireless dagger. Now, all of these weapons, except for the Poison Flask, do have the ability to get projectile bounces. And I decided to check, like, okay, like, what weapons can actually get projectile bounces, because when you go in the unlock section and you hover over where the weapon is to the right, there would be like a small box where it says like, oh, these are the stats that are good with this. Meaning, for example, if it doesn't say projectile bounce, then that should mean that the weapon cannot get projectile bounces and stuff like that. Now, there is of course no projectile bounce totem. There is also no crit damage totem. There is like a crit chance totem, but there is no crit damage totem, and there is no projectile bounce totem. So yeah, now there are of course more weapons than this. Now, one thing that I 100% thought for like a really long time was that bananas used to have projectile bounce. But maybe they never had projectile bounce, and I always thought that they had projectile bounce. I mean, you do throw them kind of like a boomerang and stuff like that. Like it is called banana rank for a reason and stuff like that. But yeah. So my whole idea with the totems, I was gonna say totems again. The totems that I went for, right? The tomes that I went for. So the whole idea with the tomes that I went for, I thought like about, okay, like I need to apply poison quickly and stuff that. And from the way the poison works, from my understanding, is that poison, for example, like when you stack it with the cheese, it doesn't count each cheese as being its own individual like poison stack, like they all combine into like one cheese that does a lot of damage, of course, which is why having more cheeses is more important. I think that's how it works. However, each source of poison, for example, Poison Flask will be its own source of poison. The cheese will be its own form of poison, because if you see here, you can see all the different damage sources here. For example, you can see blood markings, of course, from unstable transfusion. But for example, the waste barrel here, I forgot what it's called, waste barrel, radioactive barrel, toxic barrel, or whatever it's called. One that I have two over here that I'm hovering over here. This barrel has a poison style effect. So this one counts into the poison damage. 100% certain, because otherwise it would show up as something else here. And stuff like that, so yeah. And yeah, and of course I did not get moldy gloves. I think I had one more pair of moldy gloves actually at one point, but then I got but then I lost it because I think I managed to get one blue microwave on one of the stages and stuff like that. So yeah. One thing I had active, of course, as you can see, is keys. I had active. I had the wrench active, which I don't think you can toggle off. I did toggle on both the keys, and I did toggle on the battery because the battery is attack speed. Right. So weapons, I went with Poison Flask, Revolver, Bone, and Wild Stagger. For tomes, I went with attack speed, quantity, armor, and or basically the attack speed is also called cooldown totem and stuff like that, but it's attack speed. And then of course the projectile count, the armor, and the duration. The duration I didn't get that many levels into, but duration of course makes it so that the poison lasts longer. But if we're counting then all the weapons that I have poison from, Poison Flask is its own source of poison, the cheese is its own form of poison, the toxic barrel is its own form of poison, so that's 3 poisons right there, and then a 4th from the snake. So it would have been like basically like a 5th from the poison from the moldy gloves. That would have been another poison effect. That is from my understanding with how it works and stuff that, right? So yeah. But however, from my understanding also is that poison, once you have a poison effect and you can apply poison, then I believe there are also some items that quote unquote can apply the poison effects, like because if you get the not if you have like the toxic barrel, but because the toxic barrel is when you take damage, which is why the armor is so good with this, because you do have a lot of armor at the end and stuff like that, but you shouldn't prioritize on the armor totems unless it's like an insane like armor upgrade, unless you get like a magenta purple armor upgrade or better than that, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that is very important and stuff like that. So, yeah, because I'm pretty certain that weapons that have like an on-hit effect, basic for example, like if you get moldy flex or moldy flex, if you get moldy gloves, that's a poison effect that is an on-hit effect. I'm pretty certain that means that you will poison with stuff that has like an on-hit effect. But like Grandmaster Tonic right triggers when you hit something. Big Bonk can trigger when you hit something, for example. Holy Book will technically also hit, like Holy Book is kind of like an aura effect, so that is also going to be part of another build that I'm planning to do. I'm planning to eventually do like an aura maxing build and stuff like that, but yeah. But as you can see, Snake used it like the superior damage, which of course not strings, because Snake applies 4 poison ticks. I believe it is 4 poison ticks. And then it's when it reaches a certain amount of ticks, I believe, it removes them, and then it does all the damage immediately. Like it basically takes all the poison ticks that is on the target. It doesn't use tick the 4, like there are some people that believe that the 4 poison ticks that it does, it just takes those ticks and remove it. No, it removes all the different poisons that are on an enemy. So for example, with attack speed, for example, like you will pretty early on, you can even on the very first stage, or at least early on in the second stage, you're going to reach over 200% attack speed, which is double attack speed. Then eventually you will get over 300%, and then you will have like 3 times attack speed, and that is without even getting like the purple, like the rage effect, like it's called rage, the purple thing, but it's increases your attack speed. But I believe it's also technically like a damage increase as well. I mean, it is a damage increase because you attack faster, but you get what I mean, right? But yeah. And I mean, overall, legendaries wise, we got Yold Stagger, a.k.a. Yold Stagger. We got the Saki Magnet, we got the Holy Book, we got the Snake, and we got the Giant Fork is what it's called, right? Which is sadly not his own damage effect here, which is a bit weird, and I'm pretty certain you couldn't scroll this down here either, and stuff like that. So yeah, so that is interesting. I don't know why Giant Fork does not show up as its own effect. No, because that is used because Giant Fork enables you to get the stronger crits. Giant Forks enable you to get like the quadruple crits or whatever it is. And stuff like that, right? Which is probably be the reason why the revolver did so much damage, and the bone. Because the revolver can have crit chance on it and crit damage. And I believe bone got the same thing, because the bone was buffed when the shotgun got buffed. And the shotgun, as you know, didn't previously have crit damage on it I'm not 100% certain, because for my understanding is if they add crit damage to something on a weapon, then they also give it crit chance if it didn't already have crit chance on it and stuff like that. So crit chance always comes with crit damage and stuff like that. And that's why, for example, like weapons that have crit damage and crit chance is generally very good, because of course once you reach 100% crit chance, you can then do way more crit damage than normal once you reach or a 7% crit chance. And that of course then becomes stronger when you get forks. And of course if I would have, for example, gotten a second fork, then I probably could have survived like considerably longer and stuff like that, but yeah. But the only stun effect that I had was from the plug, from the electric plug. That was the only real like stun effect that I had. Now the gas mask was really important, because the gas mask of course gave me the when you overheal and stuff like that, right? There was no shock plate, but I'm pretty certain I still had the shock plate on and stuff like that, so yeah. Or the shock plate would have been good, but yeah, but that's a way to like get overhealing and stuff like that with that. Meaning that you will get extra like bonus health and stuff like that, because that's what the overhealing does, so that you will go above the maximum health. And it works really well with Holy Book as well, so yeah. So gas mask is really important. Now, I'm pretty certain that you can get multiple gas masks and stuff like that, but yeah. And like the armor from the shield was definitely actually pretty important, because the thorns still did 3.1 million damage there, as you can see, but yeah. Yeah, but it's crazy, right, that the Wild Stag was higher level than the Bone, but still did way less damage than the Bone. And that's of course because the Bone has crit damage and stuff like that, and crit chance on it. So yeah. But all of these weapons, the Bone, the Revolver, and the Wild Stagger can Projectile Bounce and stuff like that. The Lightning Staff can also Projectile Bounce. The Sniper, I'm uncertain. Like I could have sworn that I've seen the Sniper do Projectile Bounce, but yeah, but there is a limited amount of weapons that can go to Projectile Bounce. I think the Space Noodle might be able to Projectile Bounce, but I haven't unlocked that, so I have no idea. But yeah, as you saw here on the side here, yes, a red frog, which means for stage 3. You need to get that, and you need to kill him, of course. I did manage to kill the final frog pretty late into the stage. Like not super late, I still had 4 minutes or 5 minutes left over there, because one of the frogs managed to get away and stuff like that. But then I didn't want to try and rush after it, because that would be really bad. But yeah, I also managed to get my 100,000 kills, because I wasn't too far away from it when I did the run and stuff like that, so yeah. And of course survived the final swarm, which I did on the final stage after the final boss and stuff like that, because you will quote unquote get pushed. And the thing you should do is, unless they push you in towards the stage, towards the middle, you want to be close, or you basically manage to get pushed to near one of the edges. And then if you get pushed off, you will just be falling, but the enemies, since you will be falling so fast, they won't catch you. Meaning that when it puts you back on the stage, it won't put you back on the middle of the stage, it will instead put you back on the edge again. So if you don't touch anything, it will just keep moving you, like pushing off the stage over and over, and you can still keep dealing damage and stuff that, which is like really good. Now the crazy thing is that, as you can see, I didn't get a single like a clover, because I'm pretty certain that I banned it. I kind of wish that you could see here what things you had banned somewhere here on this final screen as well, so you can remember what things you had banned. But I did manage to get a pretty decent amount of luck. And I'm pretty certain I didn't get that much luck from shrines itself. So I'm pretty certain that all the luck that I managed to get was just from opening pots. Because I mean, when you're on the final stage, right, like every single pot is like a single percent or almost. Or I think it's actually more than 1%. Like I think the regular small pot is 1% at that point, and then like the bigger pots is like 1.2 or something like that, right? I mean, since there are so many pots, like if you can open a lot of pots, then that's a lot of things. And yeah, of course, 11 wrenches ended up being strong, and keep in mind that I didn't microwave a single wrench. Like the majority of stuff that I microwaved, I believe was the keys that I microwaved, and then I also microwaved some of the echo shards, which is what I believe that I actually did manage to get them all gloved, but then I lost one of them in the microwave. And there was another blue item that I lost as well. I'm pretty certain I also did get a ton of mitts and stuff there, which of course does an electrical effect and stuff like that, so yeah. But yeah, so that is, because I wanted to have like proof, like, oh, okay, this build can work, and the fact that this build, like, I beat my old like kill record and stuff, right? That felt pretty good, right? You might be, oh, why don't you just do a build with like XP tome, luck tome, and stuff, right? Because the thing is, I want to do like my own builds and stuff and I know that yes, the XP tome, the luck tome, and the curse tome together is like really, really powerful and stuff right? And and I would say that maybe certain tomes need to consolidate into one tome just because of a certain existence of a certain other tome. This is of course the Chaos Tome, because the Chaos Tome is just so very powerful, being able to give you the stat. And of course, sometimes you can get unlucky with the stats that you get from the whole Chaos Tome and stuff. That, like, sometimes you can get unlucky with the stats you get, but due to the way that the Chaos Tome works, and that means that, for example, with Wizard Hat, the Chaos Tome gets even stronger and stuff like it's just absolutely insane and stuff which what is going on. But yeah, so I think this will do it about talking just a little bit about the build. I will talk more when I do the part 2 of this build, but keep in mind that I will probably call it a Poison Bounce hybrid, or Projectile Bounce hybrid, or whatever, right? Because that's technically what it ended up being and stuff but yeah. I forgot how much armor I had at the end. I don't think I even had 80% armor at the end. I think I only had like a little bit over 70% armor, which is actually pretty insane and stuff so yeah. So I'm pretty certain that without the armor I wouldn't have been able to survive, and I'm pretty certain that I didn't get a single hourglass. Maybe I did get an hourglass at one point. No, I'm pretty certain, or maybe I did have a few hourglasses, right? Because if you did get a few hourglasses during a run, I think it doesn't show up afterwards if you used up the hourglasses. I don't think they show here, right? If you manage to get a few hourglasses and stuff but yeah. So maybe I should talk about some of the other runs I'm planning. So there is a run that I plan to do that is meant to be like a aura maxing run, but I'm gonna look at what tomes could be good with the aura. But I'm thinking about using Spaceman, and then basically, since aura weapons, which is the aura from Giga Shad, the Frostwalker, and the Flamewalker, like both the shoe weapons, those are technically all the aura weapons in the game. But technically there are also certain items that have like an aura effect, like the Power Glove, right, which only has an 8% chance to trigger. That is an aura effect and stuff and the aura effect from the Power Glove seems to kind of be like an aura that triggers like once. It sends like out a wave from where you are, and it sends it in all directions. So it's kind of like an aura effect, but it only happens once and stuff which makes me think, of course, that if you would have several Power Gloves, it would happen like several times and stuff right, and stuff which is pretty interesting and stuff so yeah. So yeah, and of course, keep in mind the reason why Snake does so much damage is probably because of the fact that I do have several different types of poisons effects and stuff that makes the snake stronger. You keep in mind that if we would have gotten something insane like 2 snakes and stuff I'm pretty certain this damage would have been more than double. I think this damage probably would have tripled or something like that. But yeah. But I don't know exactly when I'm gonna do part 2, if I'm just gonna do it immediately now and stuff we will see. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this first part of the Poison Projectile Bounce build for Amog here by Xenoxis. That's me. Anyway, I'll see if I do part 2 today or not. We will see. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.